Welcome to today's episode on Top 5 Crises in America right now. America is facing several crises at the moment. Some of the major crises include the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, political polarization, economic inequality, climate change, and racial injustice. These crises pose significant challenges to the country and require urgent attention and action from government leaders, policymakers, and the public. We will discuss these crises one by one in this video. Let's talk about the recent COVID pandemic crisis in the country. The ongoing COVID-19 pandemic continues to be a major crisis in the United States, with high numbers of new cases, hospitalizations, and deaths. The COVID-19 pandemic has had a significant impact on America, with the country experiencing some of the highest numbers of confirmed cases and deaths in the world. The crisis has strained healthcare systems, led to widespread economic disruptions, and resulted in significant changes to daily life, such as the implementation of social distancing measures and the widespread use of face masks. Vaccines are now widely available, and while there have been some challenges with vaccine distribution and vaccine hesitancy, the country is working towards a path of recovery. The second major issue in the country right now is the political polarization. The deep political polarization in the country has led to social unrest and even violence in some cases, making it difficult to address pressing national issues. Political polarization in America refers to the deep and growing ideological divide between the country's two major political parties, the Democrats and Republicans. This polarization has been fueled by a range of factors, including social media and the rise of partisan news outlets. It has resulted in a breakdown of civil discourse, with individuals increasingly holding more extreme views and finding it difficult to find common ground with those who hold differing opinions. This has led to gridlock in government and difficulty in passing important legislation, which has further contributed to the country's political divide. The third issue is economic inequality. The growing income and wealth gap between the rich and poor in the country has resulted in economic hardship for many Americans and threatens to exacerbate social and political divisions. Economic inequality in America refers to the unequal distribution of wealth and income across different segments of society. It is a significant problem in the country, with the top 1% of households holding a disproportionate share of the nation's wealth. This inequality is perpetuated by a range of factors, including the decline of unionization and the rise of globalization, which has led to job losses and wage stagnation for many Americans. It has significant consequences, including limiting economic mobility and increasing social stratification. Addressing economic inequality has become a key issue for many politicians and policymakers, with proposals such as increasing the minimum wage and implementing progressive taxation to help reduce inequality. Climate change. The impacts of climate change are becoming increasingly severe, with more frequent and severe natural disasters, rising sea levels, and other ecological and environmental challenges. Climate change is a significant issue in America, with the country being one of the world's largest greenhouse gas emitters. The impacts of climate change, including rising sea levels, more frequent and severe weather events, and loss of biodiversity, are already being felt in many parts of the country. The federal government has implemented some policies to address climate change, such as the Clean Air Act and the Paris Agreement, but these have faced opposition and rollbacks from some politicians and industries. States and cities have taken on a larger role in addressing climate change, implementing their own policies such as renewable energy mandates and emissions reduction targets. The Biden administration has made addressing climate change a top priority, with a goal of achieving net zero emissions by 2050 and implementing various policies to help achieve this goal, such as investing in clean energy infrastructure and rejoining the Paris Agreement. Last but not the least, racial and social justice issues. The United States has a long history of racial and social justice issues, including slavery, segregation, and ongoing discrimination. In recent years, there have been high-profile incidents of police brutality and racial violence, leading to a widespread movement for racial justice and equality. Many communities of color continue to face systemic barriers in areas such as education, employment, and the criminal justice system. The COVID-19 pandemic has also exacerbated existing racial and social inequalities, disproportionately affecting communities of color and low-income individuals. Moreover, the ongoing struggle for racial justice and equality has been highlighted by events such as the murder of George Floyd, resulting in widespread protests and calls for reform of the criminal justice system and other societal institutions. The Black Lives Matter movement has been at the forefront of the push for change, with protests and demonstrations taking place across the country to demand systemic change and an end to racial violence. The movement has also sparked important conversations about racial and social justice, leading to greater awareness and a desire for change in many people and organizations. However, there is still much work to be done to address the deep-rooted systemic issues that perpetuate racial and social injustices in America. This includes addressing implicit bias, reforming the criminal justice system, and improving access to education, healthcare, and economic opportunities for marginalized communities. It's important to note that these issues are complex and multifaceted, and require collective action and commitment from government, private sector, and civil society stakeholders to effectively address them. Thank you for watching today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon to get notified about the upcoming content.